let's just hop right into some games here. So we've got Anivia Vault here today. Vault of Helia, really sweet landmark out of the latest card drop. So landmarks, that those not familiar, hang out on your bench space, and they can't attack, block, or take damage, and they just provide an effect every single turn. So this one, at round start, kills your most expensive ally to summon an ally from your deck that costs one more. So the basic idea with this deck is we have our champion Anivia here, which when it dies, we summon an egg, which eventually resummons Anivia when you're enlightened. And if you have Anivia out, the only 7-drop in our deck is Rekindler, who when this comes into play, it revives the strongest dead allied champion. So when your Vaults of Helia turn Anivia into a Rekindler, you end up with an Anivia egg that will eventually turn back into an Anivia and a Rekindler plus a second new Anivia, which is great. We also have Tryndamere above Rekindler to turn into. We have a Captain Ledros to turn Tryndamere into, and we have a She Who Wanders to turn Captain Ledros into. So we're going real big here, all the way up into 10. At the bottom end of our curve, we've got a variety of cheap units such as Omen Hawk, Sentry, and Kindly Tavern Keeper to help keep us alive. We've got some interaction with Vile Feast and Avalanche. And then in the mid game of our deck, in terms of units, I've got some Outriders here, which can make the top unit in our deck very chunky, as well as Hearthguard, which makes everything in our deck really chunky. So Outriders and Hearthguard are really good units to vault through because they give you an effect when they come into play, so we still got value off of them even if we sacrifice them away. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this and see how it goes. I'm going to spend today cataloging a bunch of paper cards to sell. What better accompaniment for that than some quality Runeterra? God bless. Nope, she's just a value beater, Hank Utah. So the play effect, so Ledros and She Who Wanders do not get their effect when when you pull them off a vault. I think I'm gonna mulligan these two, looking for other cheaper cards. Avalanche usually doesn't kill much against Ask Johnny. I'm probably going to use this to ramp on 3, so probably skip playing the Sentry on 2. Switch the scene. Yep, I'll remember to do that eventually. At some point, I will do that automatically and not forget. Gotcha. Let me see them open attacks. They're going to play more to the board here.
What did you catch? The War Mother will unite us all.
We'll trade our 5-drop for their 1-mana card here, I suppose. He says before getting Harsh Winds or Flash Freezed.
On the trail.
Ha! They're attacking with this too. I guess I block here.
And defend.
I'm going to take a little bit of a hit, especially with these Tavern Keepers and this Catalyst in my hand. Shared Spoils is an interesting card. Don't often see that one in the opponent's archetype. Well, with that draw, I think we want to get... I think I want to get my ramp on this turn, so we'll play Sentry here, and then we'll Catalyst, and then next turn we can Tryndamere.
Patience.
This land is ours.
This land is your land. This land is my land. Do 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 do.
Look out for reavers.
Harsh Winds, me daddy. You know you want to. Alright, we'll take those.
barbarian true brutality.
So, Tryndamere, when he would die, he levels up instead. He's real big and angry when he levels up. So, pretty easy open on attacks, everything. We'll get to play out 2 Tavern Keepers here to heal up to 17 and have pretty decent go wide board.
Leave your bags at the door.
More Logan.
I didn't expect this.
Fate can be cruel.
What will you have?
What will you have? Do I want to do this to have an extra blocker next turn? I think so. It's gonna pass for now. We might She Who Wanders. This obliterates all followers with 4 power or less in play in hand, so I would get rid of these 2 and these 2. If they play out another thing that dies to this, I think we take that trade.
Avarosans, stand together.
Hot on the trail. That the best you got?
Let's talk about your tan. I've carved meat bigger than you.
Oh, I'd lose my Rekindler too. That's a good thought. Yeah, it's probably not good.
Let rage fill your soul.
Let rage fill your soul. They could have another flash freeze here, but I think if they're burning another flash freeze on this, that's fine. Harsh wind, sure.
Who's gonna go that
Yeah, we have a good open attacks next turn. For sure. Do I want to avalanche here? I kind of think I might. It kills this and puts this to 1, so my Bile Piece can tap this down next turn. I might have been better off blocking this with my other 3/3 for that reason. If they kill Tryndamere in combat, I have Rekindlers, like, that seems fine. Trynd has seen some stuff. Man, they're on the full playset of Shared Spoils, huh? So playing this out means that they have a chance to Sajani me, which I think is not good. So I think we just open attacks to play around Sajani. Nah, I think we're gonna start Desu only human snipe blitz legend. And not even strictly because of DCMA stuff, but because of do I even want to do this? So if I click OK, they just go to 1. If I Vile Feast, they have a chance to respond here, and I think I'd rather just take them to 1. Because I have Anivia the following turn that can attack and get her trigger to kill them. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a chance they have another Ash in hand. They could have Tavern Keeper. That's a card in their regions that they could realistically play. Sometimes they play that card. The other thing about the disco game is because it's so let's define it as crude. I have to flag it on YouTube in a way that means I can't make YouTube ad money off of it, even if I turn the music off so it doesn't get DCMA claimed. Do we just She Who Wanders here? Am I rekindling or am I She Who Wanders here? I probably would rather rekindler, right? And let's do this one first because this rekindler is going to get obliterated by this. No, this is just followers. Oh, they're a Feel the Rush deck. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I bet we're dead here. Yeah, maybe I should have gone for lethal here. Yeah, Ash is about to level, that is correct. And I am aware of that. Was that a good draw, chat? Let me know in chat.
Show me a target.
I'm through waiting.
Avarosa, guide me!
Join the conflagration.
And then next turn becomes the question of, would we rather Anivia or this? It's probably just Anivia, right, for that trigger? Yeah, not being able to double spell here feels bad, but Anivia's trigger is at least lethal next turn. I mean, I don't see any reason why they would be salty here. I think they're just thinking, like, the game is far from over. Like, they didn't kill me this turn. Man, they are gonna be sad that they did that, chat.
Sharpen the blade, secure the kill. Line up!
Oh, I guess this is about to level up, though, right? This wouldn't... Yeah, this can't be Culling Strike anyways. I forgot this wasn't leveled yet.
A storm approaches.
Anivia getting Crystal Arrow doesn't matter. Her attack trigger kills them. Frostbites don't matter here. Deals 2 1 attacks. They need Innkeeper. They need Innkeeper or a way to kill my bird. Yeah, opponent's playing Ash Sedge and had a copy of Feel the Rush.
What time is it?
Just dead.
The cycle
Some big swings there on both sides for sure. For sure. Also worth noting, and this is something that you want to think about, is that what's the word I'm searching for? That was a game where we never played Vault, right? Wouldn't Crystal Arrow make Anivia unable to attack? Nope. I'd recommend reading the card. Reading the card is busted. Oh, or maybe you're thinking of other games where I think it. What game is it? Is it I think Eternal has the weird rule that 0 power things can't attack. There's definitely a card game that says 0 power things can't attack. Have a favorite Ezreal deck, Peak and Fern, thank you for the 33 runs. There are not 1 but 2 different Ezreal decks up on my website right now. You can find them under the mid-range category. I think we just take this hit and then Camel Steer. Yeah, so the Feel the Elusive's Ezreal deck is like mid-range with a combo finish top end. And the Go Hard Ezreal deck is more of a mid-range controlling build. This is smart. Pretty sure we're avalanching this turn. We'll avalanche here, and then we'll Vile Feast this next turn to finish it. Thanks, OG. Yeah, I spent some time on that, some time and some money. I'm pretty happy with where it's ended up at though. Wolf Rider, that's an interesting one. Draven Darius. So next turn we'll have 7 total mana, so we can Vile Feast plus Vaults technically.
Let's do this.
For reference, I don't think I will be putting up a dedicated combo decks tab for Runeterra Blitz. Runeterra tends to have... What's the word I'm searching for? Runeterra, there tends to be... there aren't really, like, strict dedicated combo decks where, like, the only thing you do is combo. So, like, for example, the Feel the Elusive deck we just mentioned, I would classify that, yeah, they're combo X decks. They're like a combo deck, but they're also something else as well. They're not purely linear. Yeah, Trundle Bundle's combo control. Feel the Elusives is like mid-range combo, etc. Alright, am I doing Sentry Trapper or am I playing Anivia? This turns into a 3/3, this turns into a Rekindler. I think I'm doing this. It's very scary.
Smell that, Varg? Fear.
One candle for every soul.
Yeah, our opponent's board's more than a little overwhelming, huh?
Ready the torches.
I will endure.
Such naivete.
Dead do a lot here. Them having this in their opening hand was real bad for us. mean, to be fair, my opponent's Wolf Riders were just like 4-3s with Overwhelm before that game. Draven Darius, aggro. No, that's a different deck, Logan. So the overall macro deck on my site is a Targon Splash. The opponent was playing a Freljord base with their deck. We're gonna mulligan Anivia here. I think I'm in to keep the rest of these, though. Yeah, and like, the one on my site is like a Targon Splash. The last opponent we just played against had a lot of cards from those regions. And like, honestly, this discussion here really shows the range in Runeterra where like, even the exact same champion combination yields two very different decks.
Let's get him, crew. Finger on the trigger.
Oh, they are playing. They are playing Iona. That's funny.
Tis a fine day for murder.
Jagged Taskmaster. Okay. What a fucking asshole. Don't GG me, because you had a good card.
I'll cut him off myself.
Warm hearts and hot soup.
About my rules. Lock the doors.
Unfortunately, too short of Anivia this turn, so probably want to just deploy 2 units.
We go where the War Mother bids.
I'm not greedy. My friends, though.
What will you have?
No use crying. I promised a bloodbath.
Heavy pockets, huh?
I've carved meat bigger than you. Let's talk about your tech. I've carved meat bigger than you.
Anivia control. So they're probably a Harrowing deck, so it'll kind of be Vaults versus Harrowing here. Graph seems good. 1, 2, 3. The sound design on the spooky board is real great.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
I'll spot 'em.
These old eyes still see far and clear. Fuck Gotcha. Safeguard our home.
I have to imagine we're the beatdown in this matchup.
Look out for reavers.
Harrowing feels like a bigger, scarier top end than what our Vault is doing. Where the diversity has felt bad since there's not a real meta and all the matchups feel polarized. Man, card game players really will complain about anything, huh? There's only 3 decks, this card game sucks. There's 20 decks, this card game sucks. It's all awful. To dissect the statement more than just to laugh about it, to do more than laugh about it rather than say it's not it is a very silly statement, in my opinion, but to dissect it more fully, the idea that a diverse format automatically equates to polarization, I think, is very silly and untrue.
If they're out there, I'll spot them.
A storm approaches.
Alright, so I think I play Hearthguard here, so this way if they attack, I can Anivia them on the backswing. Because this will block this if they attack, and then this will turn into an Anivia for me.
Snow, wind, and ice.
This is our homeland.
I mean, when there's a lot of decks in a given format, it does make it more challenging to play the format, right? Because you can't just have, so one thing, and I've talked about this in Magic before too, one of the things that really separates good players from mediocre players in card games in general is that good players are adaptable, and mediocre players, you can be a mediocre card game player and still put up good results somewhat consistently just by sheer memorization effectively. So, it's possible to have decent card game results while being a mediocre player just because you've played a ton and have memorized the play patterns. And truly good card game players are players who are adaptable to different situations, which is why cards that create variance by design are good cards in general, because they test adaptability of the people playing them. And that key of being able to test adaptability is really important, I think.
Be reborn.
So, rock, paper, scissors. Again, you're using a lot of buzzwords, and I would assume the person that made this video used a lot of buzzwords too, so maybe it's not inherently your fault. But rock, paper, scissors isn't determined strictly by play patterns. It's determined by polarization and how the matchups feel. So a polarized format is one where all of your matchups are, 80-20, 70-30, as opposed to 40-60, 45-55, etc.
I will endure.
So these are just going to come back next turn anyways. There's really not a point in killing them because they're going to be enlightened. Drawing this ramp spell was actually really good because now my Anivias will come back next turn also, which is great.
Rend the skies.
I don't know, my experience playing a huge range of Runeterra decks in this format is that it's twofold. One, there are definitely decks in this format that I would describe as having a number of polarized matchups, but I also think if you're someone who's explicitly looking for decks that don't have polarized matchups, there's probably half a dozen different decks I could tell you that feel 45-55% against the format.
We go where the War Mother bids.
And this probably sounds funny to hear, but seeing how Runeterra players feel about the Runeterra metagame actually makes me feel sympathetic for Wizards of the Coast in a way, because like people often give Wizards crap saying like this should be easy to do and it should be obvious when there's misses, but like the Runeterra and how Runeterra players respond to this game really shows that it doesn't matter what the format looks like, people are gonna bitch about it regardless. That's how Runeterra feels. Now, something to note, they just cast Entreat, so my opponent now guaranteed has a Harsh Winds in hand, because Anivia is their only champion. So, because they have Harsh Winds, I'm just going to end the round and burn their mana.
Bale's Riders, these are dark omens.
Yeah, Ribson, that's been my experience as well. That polarized in Runeterra tends to mean 60-40 closer to 85-15 or 80-20 or whatever made up numbers you want to call it. Yeah, but like for example, they're saying Spider Aggro could never beat Tryndamere Trundle, so they literally just balanced the game around that, right? They literally just had a balance patch to make Tryndamere worse. So, like, they're obviously very aware of things like that and want to warp and make the format be better around it, right?
Wrapped in cold silence.
Now the question is, do they have a Harrowing here? They do. Yikes. And like for example, and just to like play on data points and feelings for a minute here. This matchup seems tough to impossible, and I could complain about this matchup feeling polarized, or I could think about the deck that I'm currently playing and acknowledge the reality that this matchup probably feels tough to impossible because my deck's not very good. That's probably the reality about why this feels polarized and why I can't win is because my deck's just a low power level. And it hurts people's egos to be able to admit that, like, okay, my deck's just not very good, and the thing I've been working on probably should be shelved because it's just not good.
Who goes there? You don't stand a chance. You'll need more than that. Our land. I'll never yield.
Rest in ice.
We've been appropriately wished. Sure, Lambton, but like, our deck also felt bad against the aggro deck, for example. So like, if we're dying to the aggro decks and we're dying to the people going over the top of us, that just means our deck is bad.
A new era begins.
It's like, it's funny, I was watching a content producer the other day, and they were talking about how Swain Ezreal is tier 1, which is actually the deck we're going to play next. I'm interested to see how that feels, and how they felt Demacia was underpowered and needed a boost and was too weak. And like, the actual data metrics from both Mobalytics and what Riot provided disagree with both of those feelings. And it's tough for people to like admit that like their anecdotal evidence runs contrary to reality. And that's actually one of the things I love about Runeterra, is that I actually think that's probably part of it, Siren. This game gets updates so frequently, people get stuck in mindsets from previous patches. I think that's a big part of it. And in Magic and other games where data's not as accessible as it is in Runeterra, it's very easy for one person who like has a following to like say these things that you're like, I feel like they're untrue, but like I can't prove it. And in Runeterra, when someone says something like that, where like my gut goes, I don't think that's true, I can like do the work and go see, I could do the research to see what reality aligns with, doesn't align with my gut feeling or their gut feeling. Which is why a lot of the times when you hear me talk about things on this channel, you'll often hear me say things like, well, I don't have enough information to make a decision on that, or we don't really know enough about that for me to say one way or the other just yet. I try to explicitly shy away from presenting opinions on things that I don't have experience with. I'm not really a big fan of like jump scare style games, Pekin.
If I kill you, I don't fortunes.
I don't know, Lambton. We're like electing QAnon people to Congress these days, so running based on reality probably isn't a winning platform in 2020 and beyond.
We fight for one Freljord.
Deal me in. Eyes open.
I don't actually know, Daryl. One of the other things to note too is that Runeterra has multiple server shards, so there's 4 different Runeterra masters as opposed to only one Mythic in Magic.
Got a surprise for him.
Yeah, gamer. I actually asked Ruben, and he said it was because the win rate wasn't, or the play rate wasn't high enough. So it's not strictly just win rate; it's a mix of the two.
Packed him good.
So Anivia's attack trigger plus Vile Feast will let us kill Twisted Fate here. Yeah, that's definitely true too, Tobias, and that's why you have to consider too, right? Like, as a deck gets more popular, people care about it more, and if you care about it more, its win rate's likely to go down. The devil doesn't need more advocates. If you have to start your statement with "to be the devil's advocate," probably just don't say it.
Our banner will lead the way.
It is incredibly rare that a deck is actually hard to play and not just bad. My deck is hard to play almost always, not always, but almost always, means this deck sucks, but I'm a good player, so I can win matches with it anyways. That's what this deck is hard to play generally means. Yeah, we are, Hamlin. Looking forward to it.
The skies.
Yeah, Human Revolution, whatever the remastered version is. It's linked in the stream queue if you want to see the exact version we're playing. I also think the "my deck is hard to play" idea is that, in a way, it kind of is something that, like, puts down other people. It, like, is this idea that's meant to, like, make you feel smart and act like the other decks are less than because you don't need this big brain to play it.
Let's do this.
Sure, but so the innuendo, the problem there is, like, all decks require nuance and understanding of their matchups to play at a high level. This idea that, like, these specific subset of decks are hard to play, in a way, belittles all of these other decks that are also have nuance and difficulty to them. One of the most juvenile mindsets in card games is aggro decks are easy to play. The people that think aggro decks are easy to play are people that are bad at card games and need a justification for why their shit tier deck can't win a game. The aggro decks honestly have so many decisions packed into a short turn timer compared to others so frequently.
Welcome, my brother.
And this idea that, like, aggro decks are easy largely comes from people who need to insulate their own fragile ego for why their bad brew lost to an aggro deck.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
I think that is accurate, Panda on drugs. I think optimizing aggressive decks can frequently be easier because picking proactive cards that you want to play in your deck is easier than figuring out how your answers line up into a metagame. So I think that's a really good distinction and one that I agree with. But at the end of the day, most people aren't even building their own decks, right? Like, most people are copying and pasting decks off the internet that other people have worked on and tuned. And there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, it just goes to show that, like, the idea that aggro decks are easier to optimize doesn't impact their ability to how easy or hard they are to play.
Charmed, I'm sure.
Strike them down. Time to reflect.
Sure.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
Well, to be fair to you, Caker, the best aggro decks over the years in they're the best goblins decks over the years in Magic were actually mid-range and control decks. I just really like the idea of agreeing with the Panda on drugs. Now we're gonna drop the She Who Wanders and just like blast them into the Stone Age.
Hail, Striders. These are dark omens.
Get your Dark Omens here! Dark Omens! Get your Dark Omens here! Whoop! Look at all those precious cards obliterated out of their hands. When your Omen Hawk survives the She Who Wanders trigger. That 6/6 Omen Hawk though.
Not even a challenge.
The swole hawk, chat. That hawk hits the gym. Yeah, especially in Magic, the control players who act like their control deck is some like big brain nuance machine when like the only thing that mattered in half their games against aggro decks was did they have their sweeper on 4? Twisted Fate Gangplank. This could be a go hard mid range deck. Opponent's conceding, sure. Do I have the She Who Wanders pet? I don't know. I don't think so, right? Oh, is this technically the She Who Wanders, Bailey? I think you're right. Let's switch to that one. Polarized matchup confirm or 100% win rate against the auto concede. Does this game have a 3 damage sweeper other than the box? I don't think so, Pickle. Icequake, there you go. Bailey is the best pet I will fight you. I like Bailey. I agree, VR. Yes, I caught the Bob G and I was like, I think that's ranting, Bob. You had a crowd and I was like, let me click on the name here. Zed Tarek, eh? Well, Avalanche kills Zed, so I think I'm keeping that. I'm gonna look at the rest of these, looking for cheap units. You know. That sucks, Bob. As someone who's dealt with his fair share of internet idiots, I feel for you. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Pale Cascade hits you for 10 level Z. Oh no. Aaron Nilor, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thirsty Kane followed a little bit back. Thank you as well, if you're still here. I feel like matchup is polarizing is now going to be a meme on the channel. It feels like it's heading into meme territory. And again, like, I'm gonna play a couple more games with this to see if we can get the vault to pop off again. But the thing to understand again is our deck's not very good. So like playing our deck into decks that are reasonably tuned is going to feel bad quite frequently. Like what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of people think you just throw a list of cards into your deck editor and it's a brew and it's supposed to be competitive if the game is fun and fair and balanced. That's just not how it works, right? Like, Runeterra has one of the most diverse metagames I've ever played in, but that doesn't mean any 40 cards I shuffle up into my deck editor is automatically competitive. And again, it's much easier to just say, well, this is polarizing, this sucks, the game's not balanced, rather than be like, well, maybe the deck we've built is not particularly good. And like, you can iterate on and try and improve your deck if you have ideas to do that, or you can scrap it and work on something else.
Packed 'em good.
Goodbye, friends.
You won't suffer long. Struggle. Now enjoy it.
That's pretty good.
Let me change into something more comfortable.
Where do you stand on cold shots?
Warm hearts and hot soup.
Warm hearts and hot soup.
How about another round?
But Jeff, my Trundle Jinx brew is good.
Who's gonna close up?
It's funny, if someone asked me, Jeff, what's the #1 thing you should know about brewing in card games? My answer would almost assuredly be, understand that most of the decks you build are going to suck. That's just the reality.
Who's on top of the bounty board today?
For every successful brew that turns into a meta deck, there's another couple hundred that end up on the cutting room floor. Embrace losing is a good way to put it too.
Be reborn.
And then this egg is almost assuredly dead, but that's also like not a big deal because we have Rekindler here to bring this back. I'm only 99 away from a new meta deck. There you go. Never give up, never surrender.
Like a fish in water.
We each die, then
I personally have not played Anivia Reanimator, but I've seen a number of lists going around that all seem very reasonable.
scratched.
Yeah, it's definitely a life in general style thing for sure. Now, unfortunately, this only churns back into Anivia at round start, so I cannot catalyst in response here to save this. And the Anivia Reanimator generally refers to the Harrowing deck specifically, I think. Or at least that's what I take it to mean. Right? I mean, their deck is mostly go-hards at this point. Kind of a close game, all things considered. We've got 2 cards to their 1, but, like, this card just regained 3 life. I mean, the opponent drew a bunch of cards, like, has played a bunch of go-hards at this point, so it's not really surprising. We're really looking for any of our heavy hitters at this point. Vault, Anivia, Tryndamere.
Bounty board knows me name. You poor thing.
We have this Vengeance rolled up to kill, like, a Twisted Fate if they draw it. Great. I mean, and actually, this is something that's worth noting, too. Top deck wars are actually less frequent and less swingy on average in Runeterra compared to other card games, because in Runeterra, you draw twice as many cards as you do in most other card games, right? Like, compared to Hearthstone, you draw twice as many cards, and compared to something like Magic, where there's resources in your deck that you have to draw, in Runeterra, you realistically draw, like, 3 or maybe even 4 times as many action cards as you do in Magic, which is why Runeterra has so much more player agency on average, because you have more decisions to make with your meaningful cards. Right on time, Vaults. Right on time. Welcome to the party. Ooh.
We burn, then kindle anew.
A new era begins.
Deal.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
I love how whenever I talk about things that happen on average in other card games, people are always like, actually, Jeff, Miniature TCG 4567 that was released on January 12th, 2004 frequently does what you are talking about, but much better. Sarah, thank you for the brand new follow. Welcome to Anivia.
I am reborn of salt and brine. I'll make corpses of them all.
This build of Vault was one that we had played last time that felt okay. I'm kind of off it after today. January 12th, 2005. Thank you very much. Yep.
One candle for every soul.
For every soul.
The cycle is complete.
And, like, the other thing to note, too, is, like, I don't think this deck we're playing is very good. It feels slow against the Feel the Rush and the Harrowing decks, and it's not amazing against the aggressive decks getting under us. But even with that said, like, we're on the scoreboard today, right? Like, I think we've won and lost a similar number of games. Have Ledros and She Who Wanders justified their place in the deck? Yeah, I've been fine. Yeah, that's fair. It's been a hot second since we've played that one. That build felt very reasonable at the start of the season. With Darius and Captain Farron. I can see that being reasonable still. Mono Vi Freljord, so probably an in-street deck. Is War Mother's Call still really good? So, War Mother's Call is similar to Feel the Rush with slightly different matchups. So War Mother's Call is better against mid-range and control and worse against aggro and combo. I mean, come on now, chat. I wouldn't put Omen Hawk in my deck if I wasn't going to draw it on turn 1. Mulligan to Anivia, Drew Anivia, Shuffler confirmed flat. Ahead and just get rid of these before they can, like, feed them Poro snacks and other shenanigans. Can a mod update the Shuffler command there to get rid of the clip that's no longer existing?
Forever.
It adds to the Illuminati of it.
Stands for vicious.
They purge the clip because they fear the truth. Wake up, sheeple! The truth is out there! Hey, thanks for the 12 months, Empty Hex. I really appreciate it. Let's get you a sword to go with that shield. Thanks for keeping me around. And just passing here. They want to burn my mana. I think I'm okay with that. Hey, maybe I'm supposed to Crystal Catalyst the Eons here.
Trouble coming at ya.
This is what I want them to do, so that way I can rekindler.
Not that I need one.
My warrant, not that I need one. What a cop. Huh? Let me do this in soft pass and see what they do. It's a big boy, chat.
A new era begins.
Was there a difference between playing Harsh Winds and Anivia's Harsh Winds? Well, I don't have a non-Anivia's Harsh Winds, so no. Oh yeah, I don't think the mouse over overlay shows champion spells as champion spells.
Hit 'em where it hurts.
We could be really cheeky and kill our own Anivia here. That's probably bad, though.
than ice.
These rekindlers are just super awkward since our Anivia just hasn't died. Vi here is notably tough, so I can't finish her off with something like Vile Feast here, unfortunately. It might just be like triple Vile Feast this Heart of Fluff. It's not terrible.
The Freljord is a cycle of death and rebirth.
Ha! Then the Freljord is truly my home.
Oh, they're friends, chat.
I tried being polite. Freeze!
You don't stand a chance.
That's how we do it.
Ever watchful.
I'm not done.
Do you have a way to kill this? Yep.
This is our time. For my homeland.
So we're still at 16, which means our Anivia should have time to take over this game. Even with Vi punching through and dealing 5 to us when she challenges our stuff, like not that big of a deal.
Warriors end.
Order Tryndamere first. I mean, if I order Tryndamere first, there's no guarantee that they block Tryndamere. There's a good chance they only blocked Tryndamere because I ordered him last.
Now, where did that one run off to? Return to us.
Rekindled anew.
What have I told you? Stay out of there.
I tried being polite. Eat this!
Come from the dark.
Cute. You're unfortunately out of frostbites. I lose my second spider, it said. Anivia triggers will kill Vi next turn at least, and the Storko. So even with losing Tryndamere here, it feels like we're in a pretty good spot, pretty far ahead on board.
Impossible.
The landmark in hand, dude. It's a birthing pod style card. Kills our biggest thing and gets something that costs 1 more each turn.
I bring the storm.
I mean, this is technically a lethal attack.
Almost done to you.
Nuke that command from orbit. Oh, close, chat.
Oh, fluff everywhere.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
Vi is gonna live forever. Yeah, Vi's probably gonna outlast their Nexus.
I smell a fight!
Hit 'em where it hurts. Freeze! Boom!
Warrior's End.
I just wanted to mess up Tryndamere one last time before calling it a day.
Until our paths cross once more.
On our way up towards that Shadow Isle sleeve, chat. It's the last region I don't have at 25 yet. Almost there. All right. As far as this goes, was definitely a deck that I feel like did not age particularly well. So we had an okay set with this today, and this felt very reasonable at the start of the format, but I feel like what we're doing overall just really isn't powerful enough to be competitive against the average deck in the current format. I think this Vaults of Helia enabling a bunch of Anivias coming into play, it's just worse than the Harrowing builds that are going around. So I think if you're looking to do Anivia stuff, this definitely wouldn't be my recommendation. If you're really dead set on playing Vaults, it felt like an okay Vault deck, but honestly, not that noteworthy overall. I think as far as Vault decks go, I'm going to hope to revisit the Darius Vault deck at some point. The Mistwraith Darius Vault, a little bit more aggressively slanted build that felt a little bit better at the start of the season, and see if that still feels like it's worthwhile now that we're deeper into the cards being released. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and shift gears for the rest of today. We're going to kick the tires on some Easy Swain up next.